So we're going to read to the babies. It's called Odyssey by Homer. And there we go, to Odyssey. Tell of the storm-tossed man, O Muse, who wandered long after he sacked the sacred citadel of Troy. Many the men whose towns he saw, whose ways he proved, and many a pang he bore in his own breast at sea, while struggling for his life and his men's safe return. Yet even so, despite his zeal, he did not save his men, for through their own perversity they perished, having recklessly devoured the cattle of the exalted sun, who therefore took away the day of their return. Of this, O goddess, daughter of Zeus, speak as thou wilt to us. Now all the others who were saved from utter ruin were at home, safe both from war and sea. Him only, longing for his home and wife, the potent nymph Calypso, a heavenly goddess, held in her hollow grotto, desiring him to be her husband. Yet when the time had come in the revolving years at which the gods ordained his going home to Ithaca, even then among his kin he was not freed from trouble. Yet the gods felt compassion, all save Poseidon, who steadily abode with godlike Odysseus until he reached his land. But Poseidon was now with the far-off Ethiopians, remotest of mankind, with who formed two tribes, one at the setting of the exalted one at his rising, awaiting their sacrifice of bulls and rams. So sitting at the feast he took his pleasure. The other gods, meanwhile, were gathered in the halls of Zeus, upon Olympus, when thus began the father of men and gods. For in his mind he mused of gallant Aegisthus, I'm not sure on that word, whom Agamemnon's far-famed son Orestes slew. Mindful of him, he thus addressed the immortals. Lo, how men blame the gods. From us, they say, comes evil. But through their own perversity, and more than is their due, they meet with sorrow. Even as now, Aegisthus, pressing beyond his due, married the lawful wife, the son of Atreus, and slew her husband on his coming home. Yet he well knew his own impending ruin, for we ourselves forewarned him, dispatching Hermes, our clear-sighted killer of Argus, and told him not to slay the man nor woo the wife. For vengeance follows from Orestes, son of Atreus, when he comes of age and longs for his own land. This Hermes said, but through he sought Aegisthus' good, he did not change his purpose. And now Aegisthus make atonement for it all. Oh, really? He's not quite liking this chapter, huh? He says, well, everybody else is, but the gingers don't seem to like it. Then answered him the goddess, clear-eyed Athene, our father, son of Cronos, most high above all rulers, that man assuredly lies in befitting ruin. So perish all who do such deeds. Yet it is my heart distressed for wise Odysseus, hapless man, who, long cut off from his friends, is meeting hardship upon a sea-encircled island, the navel of the sea. Woody the island is, and there his goddess dwells, daughter of evil-minded Atlas, who knows the depths of every sea, and through his power holds the tall pillars from which earth and sky asunder. It is his daughter who detains the hapless, sorrowing man, ever with tender and insistent words, enticing him to forgetfulness of Ithaca. And still Odysseus, through longing once to see the smoke of his native land, would gladly die. Nevertheless, your heart turns not, Olympian one. Did not Odysseus pay you honor to the Argive ships, and offer sacrifices on the plains of Troy? Why then are you so wrathful with him, Zeus? Then answered her cloud-gathering Zeus and said, my child, what word has passed the barrier of your teeth? How could I possibly forget princely Odysseus, who is beyond all mortal men in wisdom, beyond them too in giving honor to the immortal gods, who hold the open sky? No, but Poseidon, who encompasses the land, is ceaselessly enraged, because Odysseus blinded of his eye the Cyclops, godlike Polyphemus, who of all Cyclops has the greatest power. A nymph, Thusa, bore him, daughter of Phorcys, lord of the barren sea, for she within the hollow caves united with Poseidon. And since that day, earth-shaking Poseidon does not indeed destroy Odysseus, but ever drives him wandering from his land. Come then, let us all here plan for his turning home. So shall Poseidon lay by his anger, unable, in defiance of us all, to strive with the immortal gods alone. Then answered him the goddess, clear-eyed Athene, our father, son of Cronos, most high above all rulers, if it now please the blessed gods that wise Odysseus shall return to his home, let us send Hermes forth, the guide, the killer of Argus, into the island of Ogygia, straightway to tell the fair-haired nymph our steadfast purpose, that hardy Odysseus shall set forth upon his homeward way. I, in the meanwhile, go to Ithaca to rouse his son yet more, and to put vigor in the breast, that summoning in an assembly the long-haired Achaeans. He may denounce the band of suitors, men who continually butcher his huddling flocks and slow-paced, crooked-horned oxen. To Sparta will I send him, and the sandy Pylos, to try to learn of his dear father's coming, and so to win a good report among mankind. So, saying under her feet, she bound her beautiful sandals, immortal, made of gold, which carry her over the flood and over the boundless land, swift as a breath of wind. She took her ponderous spear, tipped with a sharp bronze, thick, long, and strong, with which she vanquishes the ranks of men, of heroes even, when this daughter of a mighty sire is roused against them. Then she went dashing down the ridges of Olympus, and in the land of Ithaca stood at Odysseus' gate, on the threshold of his court. Holding in hand his brazen spear, she seemed the stranger Mentis, a Taphian leader. Here then she found the haughty suitors. They were amusing themselves with games of draughts before the palace door, seated on hides of oxen which they themselves had slain. Nearby were pages and busy squires, some mixing wine and water in the bowls, others with porous sponges washing and laying tables, while others still carved them abundant meat. By far the first to see Athene was princely Telemachus, for he was sitting in the suitors and at heart, picturing in mind his noble father, how he might come from somewhere, making a scattering of the suitors, take to himself his honors, and be master of his own. Thus thinking while he sat among the suitors, Athene met his eye. Straight to the door he went, at heart disturbed to have a stranger stand so long before his gate. So drawing near and grasping her right hand, he took her brazen spear, and speaking in winged words, he said, "Hail, stranger! Here with us you shall be welcome, and by you have tasted food, you shall make known your needs." Saying this, he led the way, and Pallas Athene followed. When they were come within a lofty hall, he carried the spear to a tall pillar and set it well-worn rack, where also stood many a spear of hardy Odysseus. Athene herself he led to a chair, and seated, spreading a linen cloth below. Good was the chair, and richly wrought. Upon its lower part there was a rest for feet. Besides it, for himself he set a sumptuous seat apart from all the suitors, for fear the stranger, meeting rude men and worried by their din, might lose the taste for the food. And then he might ask him, too, about his absent father. Now water for the hands of servant brought in a beautiful pitcher made of gold, and poured it over a silver basin for their washing, and spread a polished table by their side. And the grave housekeeper brought bread and placed before them, setting out food of many a kind, freely giving of her store. The carver too took platters of meat, and placed them before meat of all kinds, and set their garden goblets ready, while the page pouring wine passed to and fro between them. And now the haughty suitors entered. These soon took seats in order on couches and on chairs. Pages poured water on their hands, maids heaped them bread in baskets, and young men brimmed the bowls with drink. And on the food spread out before them they laid hands. So after they had stayed the desire... Excuse you, we're interrupting. I'm sorry. I lost my place. So after they had stayed desire for drink and food, then in their thoughts they turned to other things. The song and dance for these attend the feast. A page put a beautiful harp in the hands of Phemius, forced to sing among the suitors, and touching the harp he raised his voice and sang a pleasing song. Then sat Telemachus to clear-eyed Athene, his head bent close that others might not hear. Should we keep going? She's like, sir. I want to stop the tape because it's been about 8 minutes, but we're going to keep reading the chapter to the puppies.